Howdy, folks.
Hi.
Michael and Billy Joe here. And we've got some things we want to share, and we've actually, over the last number of months and actually a few years,
Yeah.
there have been some things that have been percolating in our hearts, and we've thought about sharing them, but sort of gotten talked out of it. And we both very recently believe we had heard from the Lord some loving encouragement that yes, there are others singing this song, but add your voice to the choir. We really believe that God has called each of us, that with one mind and one mouth, we get the privilege to add our voice to the choir to glorify Him. And that's really the goal here. And so one of the things that Billy Joe and I have read recently, we're reading a book that's been very inspiring. And in it, the author handles a section from Luke 4, the opening of Jesus' public ministry. And in Luke 4:18, it says, Jesus proclaims, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me because He has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to set the oppressed free, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." The phrase, though, that really captivated our attention is that recovery of sight for the blind. That was a part of His ministry and still is, that God works in order to help restore and recover sight for those that aren't just physically blind, but mentally and spiritually. That's where the greater blindness occurs, actually. And so here's something remarkable, though, that in Mark chapter, I believe it's chapter 6, the context is Jesus has taught this multitude, and He sees that they would grow weary and faint in their return journey. So He's moved with compassion and He wants to feed them. And so He takes an assessment of what they have, right? The loaves and fishes. And then it says that He looked up. When He had taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, Mark 6:41, He looked up to heaven, blessed, and broke the loaves. Now, in the original language, or in the Greek, the phrase says He looked into heaven and recovered His sight. That Greek word for looked up is the same word from Luke chapter 4, the words used, recovering of sight to the blind. Jesus looked up. And what the author in this book proposes is that perhaps Jesus, when presented with the need to feed these 5,000 hungry people, He first saw the need with His natural eye. That would be a very human, response. Perhaps He was momentarily limited by His natural perception. After all, feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes, well, that's an impossible task. And it's very important to remember that Jesus was tempted in all points like as we are, and yet He never sinned, right? So would He have been tempted here to view through the very limited senses evaluation what they had to work with? Perhaps He was. Perhaps that is why it says that when He finally got to the point in Mark 6:41, He looked up. He looked up. He recovered His sight by looking to the true source. Man, I read that and it blew my mind and blessed my heart, because it's a template for how we can respond when faced with, and these days we are being inundated with so much senses information that is contrary to God's promises. And so I am challenging myself to look up. And I'm allowing the Lord, who has a ministry of helping recover sight, I'm allowing Him to help me in these categories, bring recovery of my sight. So anyway, I hope that speaks to you. But Jesus Christ Himself perhaps dealt with, at times, a limitation in the natural, but He enjoyed a recovery of the sight every time He elevated His vision to His Father. His Father's provision, His Father's love, His Father's goodness and care. And He always saw God provide. So He provides for us the greatest example available of recovery of sight. That is just awesome. So a beautiful song that really captures the heart of this. Billy Joe is going to share with us now.
It is well. Grander earth has quaked before, moved by the sound of his voice, and seas that are shaken and stirred can be calmed and broken from my regard. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well with me. And far be it from me not to believe, even when my eyes can't see, and this mountain that's in front of me will be thrown into the midst of the sea. Through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well, it is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So let it go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. So through it all, my eyes are on you. Through it all, it is well. Through it all, my eyes are on you. It is well, it is well. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. Yes, they do. So let go, my soul, and trust in Him. The waves and wind still know His name. The waves and wind still know His name. The waves and wind still know His name.
Bless your hearts.
Bless you.